two flights. American Airlines has two additional flights. Southwest one, Air Transat one, and we understand that Sunwing is arranging two flights to Canada. Today we are having normal operations. So all the passengers who are on island who were scheduled to depart today, they are able to depart as planned. These additional flights would be for passengers who were scheduled to leave tomorrow when the airport will be closed.
She's urging passengers to contact their airlines for flight information and to confirm their flight status before traveling to the airport. Mrs. Heslop Holt says following the hurricane, a comprehensive assessment will be done to determine when operations will resume. Meanwhile, Norman Manley International Airport is set to close at 10 tonight. PAC Kingston Airport Limited, which manages the facility, says the decision was made in the interest of safety as well as the protection of airport infrastructure. It says all flights for Tuesday will operate as scheduled. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited are authorized distributors of international brands ABB, Omron, STC, Festo, and Thomas & Betts. They supply programmable logic controllers, photoelectric and proximity sensors, contactors and soft starters, power supplies, variable frequency drives, and much more. Visit them at 24 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston, or shop 32 Overton Plaza, 46 Union Street, Montego Bay, or visit their website cleasling.net. Cleasing Industrial Supplies for all your industrial automation and control solutions.
Me know me did a clown you about getting hurricane ready and everything. But yesterday my member said the last hurricane we come, we did have a whole heap of problem because we never prepare or listen to your safety advice.
It's a shame, so you have to learn your lesson. But 3 things you can do this time is 1, have a licensed electrician, check the wiring to ensure them fine. 2, trim trees near power lines and remove danger trees that could fall on lines. But call JPS if your trees are already touching the power lines, okay? And 3, make sure that everybody know where the circuit breaker is in case you don't need to turn off the power.
Alright. Me go try do them here this time. And me will stay inside if one come. Me member say one zinc flyer almost chop me last hurricane.
Yes, and turn off and plug out all electronics and appliances, especially if there is lightning.
Me go deal with it, man.
JPS, powering what matters.
This summer, transform your summer body with the Express Fitness Gym. For just $9,500 on AutoPay, you'll get access to all our locations 24/7. Enjoy free classes, fully air-conditioned facilities, showers, and changing rooms. Plus, our certified trainers are here to help you reach your goals. Visit Express Fitness Gym today. Your goal is our mission. Find a location near you or sign up now at pay.expressfitnessja.com.
All NCB locations will be closed from July 2nd until the passing of Hurricane Beryl. We will provide further updates on reopening as soon as conditions are favorable. For urgent banking needs, please use our mobile app, online banking, or our 24/7 ABMs where possible. Please stay safe.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We start with horse racing as Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited Chairman Solomon Sharp says his team has been working assiduously over the past 3 days to ensure the safety of the horses and horsemen at Kimanas Park as they prepare for the impending effect of Hurricane Beryl.
Clearing drains, we're trimming trees. A massive property is 196 acres, so there's a lot of work that has been put in. I've personally toured the plant, and I'm satisfied with the work that we've done thus far. And when we get a call from the trainers, we have responded to their concerns and, trying to make the place as safe as possible. But when Mother Nature arrears sometime, no matter what preparation you put in place, it sometimes might not be enough. But we just have to respect the process, and we have done our work that we need to do.
Sharp says there are no plans to relocate the horses.
No, that's almost impossible to relocate 950 horses. But, we have some very good, astute horsemen, and they've been doing all of what they need to do to ensure that they keep their horses sound and in good order.
He says they are hoping that after the passage of Beryl, they'll be able to have races this weekend.
We took nominations today. Nominations, we had about 100 horses nominated. If Mother Nature allows us to run this Saturday, we will run. But right now, it's just a wait-and-see game. And when Mother Nature allows us to run, we will run. But we're only going to do all of this when everybody is in a safe and sound position. And we've had several meetings today with the horsemen, with the regulators, and we're playing it by ear.
Solomon Sharp. Now on to cricket, as the West Indies will start their tour of England with a 3-day game against an England 11 at Beckenham starting tomorrow. This is in preparation for the 3-test series, with the first set for Lords starting July 10. Veteran cricket commentator Joseph Rez Pereira explains.
The West Indies arrived in England about 5 days ago without much of a fanfare coming from the West Indies board regarding their departure. But I think the team simply wants to concentrate on doing well in the treaty game and then go into a camp in England and be ready for the Lord's Test on July the 10th. The important aspect of a young team is to get accustomed to the green strips in England and the conditions in England. And it's also important that the bowlers find the right length as they prepare to take on England.
Joseph Rez Pereira. Though the start of the West Indies Under-19 men's and women's Rising Star 3-day and 50 overs competition have been postponed due to Hurricane Beryl until further notice. The men's competition was set to bowl off in St. Vincent and the Grenadines today, while the women's tournament is set to start in Trinidad and Tobago on Thursday. However, veteran cricket commentator Joseph Rez Pereira says given the effect of Beryl, organizers were forced to postpone the tournament.
There is a question to be asked, though, whether the West Indies board didn't have prior warning that the major system was about to hit the Eastern Caribbean. It was well known 4 or 5 days ago that the storm was going to be major and would be threatening the Eastern Caribbean islands, and maybe should have taken a decision to alert the member islands not to travel. Well, we'll see what they can do to adjust the itinerary in order to at least fulfill the 2024 Under-19 championships.
Pereira says teams are stuck in Barbados.
Teams could not get into St. Vincent. Maybe the Windwards only arriving earlier, the only team to be there. But with the Barbados airport closed, many teams had arrived in Bridgetown but couldn't go any further. Flights were also cancelled. So we assume that all teams are there now, and the West Indies boards are putting their heads together to see what could be the reschedule in the Under-19 tournament.
Joseph Rez Pereira. Now, the 2024 Men's T20 World Cup finished in Barbados on June 29, with India winning the final against South Africa by 7 runs. With this, India became just the third side to win the Men's T20 World Cup twice, after England 2010 and 2022 and West Indies 2012 and 2016. Barring a no result against Canada, India won their remaining contest in the tournament, thus becoming the only undefeated side to win the T20 World Cup. In a tournament that tested the batters, certain exceptional knocks stood out. West Indies' Nicholas Pooran had the highest individual score with his 98 against Afghanistan, which was filled with 14 boundaries, including 8 sixes. USA's Aaron Jones 94 not out versus Canada and India's Rohit 92 versus Australia were the only other batters to score past the 90-run mark, as no batter scored a century in the tournament. Akhil Hossain from West Indies with 5 for 11 against Uganda had the second best figures in the tournament and 6th best in the all-time list. Fazal Haq Farouk's 5 for 9 against the same opponents were the best figures in the tournament and the 4th place in the all-time T20 World Cup. Now to Netball, as president of Netball Jamaica, Trisha Robinson says they have rescheduled the travel dates for the national under-21 team to travel to the America's Netball World Youth Qualifiers in Guadeloupe from July 7 to 14. The young sons and girls were scheduled to leave on Wednesday and Thursday. However, Robinson says Hurricane Beryl has forced Netball Jamaica to alter their plans.
We have been advised that the airports reopen on Friday, so one set depart on Friday, and another set depart Saturday morning. Some options are there dependent on what is happening in Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and Grenada, so to speak, them being able to leave from their countries. So based on that, I'm told that they can start the competition on either the 9th or the 10th of July. But we are scheduled to depart on Friday and Saturday.
Trisha Robinson. Now on to football. As former champions, the Netherlands are through to the quarterfinals of the Euro 2024 after a stylish 3-0 win over Romania in their final set of games in the round of 16 today in Munich. Borussia Dortmund star Daniel Malen scored 2 late goals for the Dutch, with the other goal coming from Liverpool star Cody Gakpo.
This is Cody Gakpo onto that right foot of his, and pure power from Cody Gakpo puts the Dutch into dreamland in Munich. Once in control, Dragusha wasn't able to hold him up. Malen puts it in. That could be that. Finished by Daniel Malen, but created from nothing by Cody Gakpo. Daniel Malen wants to take it on himself. That's it. Done and dusted. The Netherlands are going through to the quarter-final of Euro 2024.
The last quarter-final spot was taken by Turkey, who stopped Australia 2-1 in Leipzig.
Arıkule stopped on the line and thundered in by Demirel. The Turks mean business again. By Arıkule. And I've got Demirel. Another massive leap for Turkey. Another massive stride towards the quarter-final. In by Sabitzer. It got to flick it in. It's Gregorich. Game on.
The quarterfinals kick off on Friday with favourite Spain facing host Germany in Stuttgart and France facing Portugal. England will face Switzerland on Saturday, and while the Netherlands battle Turkey in the last 2 quarterfinal games. It's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact, sponsored by Rainforest Caribbean.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Did you know that Jamaica is the only country to have athletes finishing first, second, and second in a final at the Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Jamaican athletes finished 1-2-2 in the women's 100 meters final at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price took gold in 10.78 seconds, and Sharon Simpson and Karen Stewart both finished second with identical times of 10.98 seconds.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Okay, so that was Nationwide's Olympic Fact, sponsored by Rainforest Caribbean. I'm Alex Reby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:21.
For hard-to-get medications, over-the-counter and chemotherapy drugs, visit Dean's Pharmacy Pepin. When others don't have it, we do. Dean's Pharmacy. Feeling better starts right here.
The temperature by Dean's Pharmacy, feeling better, starts right here, is
34 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 30 in Montego Bay.
all NCB locations will be closed from July 2nd until the passing of Hurricane Beryl. We will provide further updates on reopening as soon as conditions are favorable. For urgent banking needs, please use our mobile app, online banking, or 24/7 ABMs where possible. Please stay safe.
The Jamaica Observer is always ahead. But did you know we're also number one by far? With over 18 million page views on our website, over 800,000 followers on Instagram, and a following of over 500,000 followers on Twitter.
We're tapping into an audience like no other.
And the numbers don't lie. Contact the Jamaica Observer team today to reach your target audience. Give us a call at 470-9172 to advertise with us.
The number one by far.
Feeling stuck in endless paperwork to secure a small business loan from a bank? Access Financial Services can unlock your growth with an SME loan. Borrow up to $20 million with easy requirements and fast approvals. Whether you are ready to boost productive capacity, get working capital, or acquire real estate, say goodbye to the hassle and hello to growth. Grow your business with an SME loan up to $20 million from Access Financial Services. Call 876-929-9253 or visit accessfinanceonline.com. Conditions apply.
My Mega With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far. My Megamart, best value by far.
Hi, yes, you may attack. Before, during and after hurricane, one of the most important things is to keep in touch with your family, your friends, but also with GPS. Use the My GPS mobile app to send us updates and reports. And ensure we have your current cell phone number and email address so we can keep in touch with you. GPS, powering what matters.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Special good evening to our YouTubers. Let me find y'all before we even start, yes? Special good evening to our YouTubers. Make sure you voice your opinion live in our live chat function. All right, folks. So yesterday we were speaking about preparation for Gilmore. Did I say Gilmore? I don't know where that came from. We're talking about Beryl. I know I said that, but we'll get back to that later, yeah? So, Hurricane Beryl is on its way. We spoke about the preparation yesterday and whether or not you, the public, were prepared for the hurricane, right? But today we're asking a different question based on what you're seeing, right? Do you think, or what do you think, rather, on a scale of 1 to 5, how much damage do you think Beryl is going to inflict on Jamaica, right? That's our question for today. And it's a pretty dark one, as you can imagine, because as of right now, it's looking like a Category 4, yes? But how much faith do you have in Jamaica's infrastructure to survive the impact that we will be facing when this hurricane hits us, yeah? Let's take a look at what people are saying on social media. Right, so I've found the comments on X. We're going to start with X, yeah? So, CMAX says there seems to be no escaping the impact. My hope is that the impact would be minimal, like a 1 or a 2 out of 5, but that's hopeful thinking. By the looks of it, size and wind strength, we could be in the 4 category, just like the hurricane. Let's pray for our mountains to come through for us as they have in the past. Stay safe. Lois Clark says, in the name of Jesus, una go pray and beg God mercy. I curse this statement in the name of Jesus. Aurelia says, 5 years now, we not get something for cool we down. Oh dear. What else we have here? Elon Musk admirer says, only Papa Jesus no. All right. Let's keep going. Let's see what we have on Instagram, yeah? On a scale of 1 to 5, what damage do you think this is going to inflict upon us, right? All right, so what do we have here? As a matter of fact, am I seeing anything in the YouTube chat while I scroll? I am winning right now. It says from 1 to 5, maybe a 4. Okay, Iona Davis is saying a 4. Oh dear. All right. Oof. What's this? Ager Stultus says if Gilbert was a 3 and Beryl is a 4, I don't want to see it. Those of us, rather, who were adults at that time know what I'm talking about. Okay, fair enough. Let's see, what else do we have here? Cross 4, Miss people, prayers alone can't help us. And yes, you are true. Yeah, faith without works. But that ties into what we were speaking about yesterday, right? Because yesterday we were speaking about the preparation. And hopefully, now that everyone has prepared, hopefully everyone has done their preps They've battened down their windows. They've gotten their food supplies. They've secured their living spaces or the shelters that they may be staying at when this hurricane comes. Hopefully, based on those preparations, we will get a very low number. Hopefully, we'll get people saying ones. Hopefully, we'll get people saying twos. We don't want to see any threes. We don't want to see any fours. We don't want to see any fives. Yeah? What do we have here now? Rich Richard says, y'all don't realize now that Beryl was sent for Jamaica? Oof. Well, it appears as though it is making a beeline for here, and it might even hit us head on. But again, we have to wait. We have to wait and see. Things change. A lot has changed with this hurricane since it was first formed and was heading towards the Lesser Antilles. Yeah, it's gotten faster, it's gotten slower, and it's changed direction. So, fair enough. All right, what else we have here? There are people in our Instagram comments that says that this hurricane is not coming, and I don't know what to say, man. It's coming, yeah. It's coming. I can't lie to you. There's no universe where this hurricane isn't gonna hit us. It's not just gonna disappear. It's too strong, yeah. It is too strong. Ricardo Portia says Jamaica will be affected very badly. Oh, okay. It's a shame, man. Okay, but then again, you have Dennis Barnaby saying, I say too, I don't believe it will be so devastating, right? And I guess a question like this really shows how much faith we have in the infrastructure Jamaica has in front of it as it regards how we build our houses, how we build our business centers, things of that manner. If built properly, and if our infrastructure is in check, then it means that, yeah, we should be good. Yeah, we should be able to weather storms of this magnitude. Right? What else we have here? 007 says Beryl may not be as devastating as Gilbert because it's moving much faster, even though it is a Category 4. Fair enough. And it's also flirting, and just going back to what 007 said, it's also flirting around the 157 mark, the 157 miles an hour mark, which is where it will transition into a Category 5. So it has been trending downward. It was a Category 5, I believe, yesterday, even this morning. But now it's been losing a bit of speed. It has been losing speed on its way here. Whether or not it will gain any more between now and tomorrow, we'll just have to wait and see. Juliet Sanchez says, Mahiri, it is the most prepared I've seen any government in Jamaica. I pray we don't see great damage. Michael Ray says, I am hoping we won't be hit very hard. So it's a 2.5 for me. Ryan Chung says it will not be as bad as feared. We can only hope for the best, yes? All right. Keep going. I'm going to keep scrolling through. Maybe we can end it early or not. Just going through, trying to see if there's any more comments that we can read before we get out of here. But yes, folks, hate to be the bearer of bad news to those who don't believe it yet, but yeah, it's coming. Yes, Hurricane Beryl is coming, and you need to be prepared. What else we have here? Juliet Sanchez says Jamaicans just need to listen and she didn't finish that there. So what does that mean? Adhere? What are we saying? Rich Richard said, I hope you all saw what it did to the other islands. And yes, we have seen a lot of clips, we've seen a lot of videos, a lot of pictures of how the rains, the winds have affected countries like Grenada and Barbados, those two in particular. Yeah, St. Vincent and the Grenadines have also been affected. But yeah, folks, we had a nice little chat right now about what we think is going to happen, how we think this hurricane is going to affect us. In the best case scenario, it'll be a 1. All of our buildings will sustain the heavy winds and the heavy rain. And that's what we should all hope for. Yes, we should all be hoping for a 1 out of 5 or even a 0 out of 5. Yeah, time will tell. We hope for the best. That's public opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned for the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:32.
Don't let poor vision hold your children back. IQ Optical gives complimentary standard reflection-free lenses to children and teachers until May 31. Conditions apply.
The temperature by IQ Optical is...
It's 34 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The country's two major airports will be closed tonight as Jamaica prepares for Hurricane Beryl. Hurricane Beryl is expected to start impacting the country on Wednesday morning. The operators of Sangster International Airport, MBJ Airports Limited, say they'll be closing the facility at midnight. However, Commercial Development and Marketing Manager at MBJ Airports Limited, Sharon Hislop Holt, says some airlines have arranged extra flights out the country. Meanwhile, Norman Manley International Airport is set to close at 10 p.m. Yes? PAC Kingston Airport Limited, which manages the facility, says the decision was made in the interest of safety as well as the protection of airport infrastructure. It says all flights for Tuesday will operate as scheduled. However, the reopening of the airport will be determined based on the assessment of post-storm conditions. Passengers are also advised to contact their respective airlines for information on flight cancellation and rescheduling. Internationally, European Union regulators are accusing social media company Meta Platforms of breaching the bloc's new digital competition rulebook by forcing Instagram and Facebook users to choose between seeing ads or paying to avoid them. Meta began giving European users the option in November of paying for ad-free versions of Facebook and Instagram as a way to comply with the continent's strict data privacy rules. Users can pay at least €10 a month to avoid being targeted by ads based on their personal data. The American tech giant rolled out the option after the European Union's top court ruled Meta must first get consent before showing ads to users in a decision that threatened its business model of tailoring ads based on individual users' online interests and digital activities. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 157 Jamaican dollars and 18 cents to buy $1. It cost 198 Jamaican dollars and 84 cents to buy £1 British pound and 115 Jamaican dollars and 2 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Good evening.
Me know me did a clown you about getting hurricane ready and everything. But yesterday, my member said the last hurricane will come, we did have a whole heap of problem because we never prepare or listen to your safety advice.
It's a shame, so you have to learn your lesson. But 3 things you can do this time is 1. Have a licensed electrician, check the wiring to ensure them fine. 2. Trim trees near power lines and remove danger trees that could fall on lines. But call JPS if your trees are already touching the power lines, okay? And 3, make sure that everybody know where the circuit breaker is in case you don't need to turn off the power.
Alright. Me go try do them here this time. And me will stay inside if one come. Me member say one zinc flyer almost chop me last hurricane.
Yes, and turn off and plug out all electronics and appliances, especially if there is lightning.
Me go deal with it, man.
JPS, powering what matters.
You can still go through quicker and cheaper with a T-tag under the new toll rate structure. Effective July 6, there will be some changes to the toll rates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards and Maypen toll plazas. But don't worry, with a T-tag, all Class 1 and Class 2 customers will enjoy discounted rates for every single passage. Plus, your 10th weekly trip through the same toll plaza is free. Visit transjamhighways.com for details. Get your T-tag today from any Highway 2000 East-West manual toll booth.
This is a health advisory for persons with chronic illnesses from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. As Jamaica continues to prepare for inclement weather associated with Hurricane Beryl, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is advising persons with chronic illnesses such as diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and asthma to ensure that you have adequate supply of medication. If you must evacuate your homes, ensure that you take your medications with you to the place of shelter and continue to take them as prescribed by your doctor while away from home. That was a health advisory for persons with chronic illnesses from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
No mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
My name is Kedrin Campbell. I come from the Appleton Basic School. My favorite Olympic hero is Shelly Ann Fraser-Price.
Watch for Shelly Ann Fraser-Price.
Looking back now, I say there's no barrier when it comes to your passion and your calling as time honors your greatness. So I thank you so much, and I pray that you'll be an inspiration to all young girls, mainly the girls, to know that there's no limits when you believe what you believe and continue to work hard. We are strong, we are powerful, and most importantly, we are fearless.
It's glorious gold once again to Shelly Ann Fraser-Price.
Stay tuned to the Paris Olympic on Nationwide 90 FM. Yeah!
Chewy flavor with delight. It really, really nice. May I have to say it twice.
The time by Jamaica Mountain Peak Golden Turmeric Latte is...
It's 6:41.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Nationwide 90 FM. Tracking Beryl.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're still tracking Beryl, and we're inside the segment called The Nation's Business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Cliff Hughes.
Listeners, we are standing by to take you to Jamaica House, where the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, is set to deliver a national broadcast. As you can imagine, the state has been fully mobilized, and we expect, as we've been telling you, that Beryl will start to affect the island around about 17 hours, 15 to 17 hours from now. In the meantime, we have with us the Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Desmond McKenzie. Good evening, Minister.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Cliff.
Good evening, Minister.
Yes. Could I ask you for 30 seconds, Minister? Yes. We have an electoral registration ID card for a Pamela James Barnes. And Mrs. Barnes, we found, or someone brought to us here at Nationwide, your purse with several documents, and we'd like you to have it. You must be distressed that you have lost your purse, yes, for that's Pamela James Barnes. We have your purse. You can pick it up either later this evening or tomorrow. Yeah, right here from us at 6 Bradley Avenue. Yes, in Halfway Tree.
All right. Minister Mackenzie, our state of readiness now.
Well, Ricardo, as we've been saying for the last couple of days, we have, put everything in place, our shelters, in resources, the positioning of equipments in the critical areas. We have identified critical communities. Already we have started relocation in some areas of vulnerable persons. Our shelters will be activated in a short while. We have been pre-positioning relief supplies right across the island. I had 2 meetings today. First one with all the mayors, and based on the reports coming from all the mayors today, I am feeling good about the preparedness of the municipalities across the country. And the last meeting, which I just had about less than an hour ago, was with the national disaster coordinators, and I am now heading to add them to see where we are. But in terms of readiness, there have been last minute drain cleaning in some areas that has been brought to our attention, and we continue to do as best as possible as we can under the circumstances. I don't know if we can do much more than we have been doing. Our telecommunication system, I was in discussions earlier on it, that has been established fully across the country. Our base stations have been activated, our siren systems in Old Harbour, in the Bogwalk Gorge, and right across in Clarendon, in all the areas where we know that these sirens are necessary. Benson Fording, all the necessary signs are up. So we are in a state of readiness. Now it is just for us to say to persons, and we will be speaking about vulnerable communities, which is a problem. I can reel off a couple. New Haven is one in the corporate area. We go across out to Bull Bay is another one. We go to Clarendon, Rocky Point.
And my concern, Minister, is whether residents in those areas...
read them off first?
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Rocky Point is one in Clarendon. We go over into St. Mary in Padgett, in Port Maria. There are a number of these areas that are of concern to us, that we have already started the work. Port Royal is another one. I intend to engage the Member of Parliament for Port Royal, Philip Paul, as I did many years ago when I was mayor, because of the importance of having people in Port Royal, the shelters. We are now activating the national arena, which will be the shelter for Port Royal, for Bull Bay, sections of Portmore. So we are, in fact, doing as best as we can. But then there comes a time when there are a number of communities where land slippage is a major concern. And we speak about land slippage. We saw what happened in the Bull Bay community, where lives were lost. We know these problems, and we have been peppering these areas in terms of information. The ARTEM has been out, the KSMAC, the members of Parliament have been very, very active right on the ground, so it is up to persons now to heed the warning.
And from what you've seen so far, are they heeding those warnings?
Well, I must confess that there are we have been getting a positive feedback from Port Royal that persons have indicated their willingness to move to better conditions during it. We are waiting to get words out of New Haven. The disaster coordinator has been in the area. So basically we are doing all that we can. This is one time the country cannot say that they were void of information. We have been repeating it. We have been saying this over and over again, from the commencement of the hurricane season. And
Minister,
yes?
I want to find out, what is the plan for the street people, the homeless? Yes,
okay,
across the country.
I'm glad you raised that. Now, all of the municipalities have already started to relocate. The KCAC spoke to me about a location. I have said to them, go ahead, they can. Ministry has been moving on that. It is intended to house over some 250 plus what is at the Desmond Mackenzie Center and what is at the Marriott King Center. And right across the island, the municipalities have already started to move the homeless population into shelters, into the infirmaries. We are relocating 3 infirmaries that are in close proximity to the sea, the one in Lucy, the one in Trelawney, and the one in St. Anne. All those infirmaries will be, the residents will be relocated to new locations and the homeless population. We have also created a hotline number for the homeless where persons can call to give us information on the homeless population, and that number is 967-3329. So persons can call us if they see persons wandering out there on the street. They can call this hotline and we will respond by having someone go to pick them up. So we are ensuring...
Let's get that number again, Minister.
876-967-3329. And one of the good things that we have noticed, and we got that report, is that a number of families of some of the homeless persons have come to collect them and have taken them off the street. So, in a nutshell, we are ready. We have the relief supplies in place. We have the transportation to transport people. We are moving to take the homeless off the streets. We have pre-positioned equipment and relief supplies. One of the areas that we were concerned about is Penlight in St. Thomas. Based on the work that the coordinators have been doing, they have already stockpiled relief supplies in some communities, because it is difficult to access these communities. So overall, Cliff, I want to say big up to the disaster coordinators right across the country. I think they have been doing an excellent job of work, and all the mayors, have pitched in, and we are seeing a response now to probably the most major disaster crisis that this country will face in over 40 years.
Do you anticipate?
I didn't get that.
Do you anticipate that you will have to tap into the $500 million disaster relief fund?
Well, let us put it this way. Based on the magnitude of what is expected, we will have to use resources for purpose of restoration, for doing other things. Already I have given the go-ahead to the MCs to use the funding, that the SGR funding for emergency, as soon as the system has been lifted and they know what to do. Because the government, we have put the government, based on the prudent management of our finances, have put us in a position where we can respond. And we have the U.S. Embassy has made contact with us in terms of offering assistance, and they will be working with us out of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. So we are, in fact, Cliff and Ricardo, doing as best as we can by providing the resources, relief supplies. The ADPEM has been sending out relief supplies. Trucks have been coming in from all across the country, collecting relief supplies to take it back into the various parishes, so that at least when people go to the shelters, we are working closely with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security in terms of the food supply, the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, the Seventh-day Adventists.
And when you say food supply, Minister Mackenzie, what do you mean? Is it that you're going to be targeting those people who are unable to feed themselves?
Well, the persons who go to the shelter would normally, after, they would get a care package. And it would have some supplies, some food supplies, in some cases water, and you have some persons who will go to the shelter that will go there because they don't have anything. So we are making provisions for that right across. And, I'm hoping that Well, I am expecting a significant number of persons to go to the shelters because I think for the first time in a long history, many Jamaicans now have wake up to the reality that this is real.
Yeah.
You know, and this is something that can have a devastating effect on the country. You know, the advances that we have made as a country over the last 7 years, you know, is severely threatened, you know, by the advent of an hurricane.
So it's those people who are in shelters who you'll be making sure that they have a food supply.
Right,
food.
yes, we do. And we are asking persons coming to the shelters to take, you know, light things with them, you know. And remember, this is not a 5-star hotel you're going. You know, this is a shelter.
Yes.
We are anticipating, we are making provisions for shelters to be in
So when will
for a period of seven days.
When will the evacuation orders come? For example, for some of those flood-prone, low-lying areas that you named in particular, Port Royal.
Those orders will come because I've already done what is necessary in order to have that done, and the Prime Minister will be speaking to the nation in short order. And I know the Prime Minister will be touching on a number of important points that is going to guide us over the next 48 hours as we go through the passage of this hurricane.
I think the Prime Minister is now coming up. Yeah, Minister Mackenzie, we're on standby now.
Okay,
go to Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
Go ahead. Okay, fine. Okay, cool.
Overseas. Hurricane Beryl maintains its path to impact Jamaica early tomorrow morning. In an emergency meeting of CARICOM heads this morning, we were briefed on the destructive impact of the hurricane on our Eastern Caribbean sister islands. We expressed our solidarity and willingness to support, even as we make our own preparations. Jamaica must take this hurricane seriously. Early this morning, the Cabinet reviewed our plans to manage the threat of the hurricane, and the caucus of Parliament was also briefed on our state of readiness and the provision for emergency response. In this special allocation of $5 million per constituency to assist with emergency cases for food and bill CDF. After careful trajectory of the storm, the likely strength and impact, the potential threats emanating, and having been notified in writing by the Minister
we are having a problem with the source feed, yes, coming from the Public Broadcasting Corporation and Jamaica House with the Prime Minister's address to the nation. Yes, we are at the mercy, frankly, of the Public Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the Prime Minister again. The feed from the Public Broadcasting Corporation is not good, and it is affecting what you're hearing. Yes?
The area is historically prone to flooding and landslide. Or if you live on the banks of a river or a gully, I implore you to evacuate to a shelter or to safer ground. The Minister with responsibility for commerce will also make an order under Section 8 of the Trade Act to prevent price gouging of essential goods during a period of disaster. The Minister of Transport has also made arrangements with the operators of the east-west and north-south toll highways to give free access to the toll road between the hours of 6 p.m. and midnight today July 2nd, 2024. This is to ensure that all Jamaicans who are currently on the road are able to get home safely and conveniently. The details of the various orders will be gazetted, published in our media, and posted on various government websites. The situation, as you can imagine, is dynamic, and the government continues to monitor developments and will provide regular updates. The entire government and all relevant personnel are in a state of readiness to manage the disaster. ODPEM is leading the National Disaster Response. The National Emergency Operations Center, the NEOC, has been activated, and all relevant agencies are on high alert. Now, as we brace for the potential impacts of Hurricane Beryl, we also need our Jamaican household, our Jamaican family, you, to be prepared. It is imperative that we remain calm. Now, it's not a time for panic. Now, here are some very important steps that each of us should take to ensure our safety and the safety of our loved ones. First thing, stay informed. Regularly check reliable sources of information, getting your updates on the progress of the hurricane. Tune into your local news stations, listen to the radio, and follow official social media channels such as the Jamaica Information Service for the latest information. The Met Service and the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management will provide timely updates. Second, create an emergency plan. Discuss with your family and loved ones what actions to take in the event of an emergency. Identify your strongest room in the house, your safe room, where you can take shelter during the storm. Ensure that everyone knows the location of emergency supplies, such as flashlights, batteries, and first aid kits. This can be a particularly fearful time for our children. Take some time to reassure and comfort them and explain to them what is happening. Third, stock up on essential items. By now, you should have your emergency supply kit with enough food, water, medication, and necessities to last for at least 3 days. And this should include items such as non-perishable food, bottled water, your prescription medications, toiletries, and important documents should be in waterproof containers. Fourth, secure your property. Take steps to protect your home from potential damage. You should, by now, would have already pruned the trees around your home, and you would have secured loose items that could become projectiles in high wind. Given the projected strength of the hurricane, protecting your roof is a critical part of your preparations. Fifth, know emergency numbers. You should familiarize yourself with emergency contact numbers and have them readily available. The following numbers are crucial during this time: police, fire, and ambulance, that is, of course, 119, weather updates, 116, ODPEM, 876-906-9674, the Jamaica Red Cross, 876-984-7860, and, of course, the JPS, 1-888-225-5577. That is 1-888, call JPS. Now, during the passage of the hurricane, there may be loss of electricity and water. The emergency services will seek to restore power and water as quickly as possible. However, citizens should not seek to remove down poles or power lines or disturb water mains. Please use the emergency numbers given to report damage to public utilities and do not take unnecessary risks. Additionally, the JCF and the JDF will be fully mobilized to maintain public order and assist with disaster relief as soon as the hurricane has passed. The security forces have developed strategic plans to counter any potential threat of looting or any other opportunistic crimes during this period. Hurricane Beryl is the earliest Category 5 hurricane on record. It highlights the growing impact of climate change on global weather patterns, particularly on small island developing states like Jamaica. While our carbon emissions are minuscule, our region bears the brunt of the impacts of climate change. The hurricane further highlights the urgent need for global climate action and targeted support to enhance resilience against the escalating dangers of climate change. Your government understands that we live in a time of overlapping crises and unpredictable external shocks not of our making. This means that as a government, as a people, we must be resilient. We must build the capacity to absorb shocks and recover quickly. We have been through disasters in recent years, including a pandemic, and we have recovered quickly. We have been mainstreaming climate resilience in all our plans and programs, including the design and construction of our new infrastructure, our fiscal arrangements, and in our national security planning. We continue to build our reserves to ensure protection against both low and high frequency events. By any measure, as a country, we are more prepared than at any time in our history to handle these shocks. Nevertheless, we know that it will bring difficult times during the impact and during the recovery. However, if we bond together as a people, and each of us commits to act as responsible citizens, we can get through this and recover quickly. Let us do all we can to preserve life. Listen to the warnings. Act wisely. Put away violent response to conflicts that may occur in crises. Let's commit to being our brother's keeper. Look out for our neighbor, the elderly and infirm. Now is the time that we need community. It is a spirit of community that will pull us through. I know there are many Jamaicans praying right now. Please continue to lift up Jamaica in prayers. With the blessing of God on the vessel of preparation we have made, we will safely ride out this storm. May God bless us all and keep us safe. God bless Jamaica.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in an address to the people of Jamaica tonight, mere hours before one of the greatest national threat, to face us over the last 40 years, may be upon us. The Prime Minister says they have made the preparations, the vessel is ready. We must now do what we have to do to stay safe and look out for yourself and your friends, your family, and your neighbors. And when those evacuation orders come, we should obey them.
And I think he struck the right tone. Yes. Image of leadership. He was reassuring, almost comforting, frank but calm. The themes running throughout the presentation is that we are a resilient people, a resilient country. Talked about how we've gone through national shocks before, citing COVID, for example, and stressing the importance of preparation. I think he rose to the moment brilliantly just now. And it's now just for us as Jamaicans to heed the warnings. Yes, and to believe that the country has done all it can to prepare for this, as you say, perhaps the worst national disaster we've encountered in 40 years. That we've done all we can as a state to prepare, and that we now need to just batten down and see if we can ride through it.
Ricardo, it's a moment of serious national peril, yes, because of the ferocity that is about to be unleashed on us by Beryl. And as you heard from Mr. Rohan Brown of the Meteorological Service in our cover story this afternoon, we will begin to feel the effects of Beryl shortly after midnight. That's about 5 hours from now. Yes? And as Wednesday, July 3, wears on, the battering, the pounding will intensify as Beryl draws near to us in Jamaica. It's already beating our neighbors to the east, Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And we must spare a thought for them as we also hold our collective breath for Jamaicans here at home. Yeah? We will be here to help you through the onslaught of Beryl. But we have to take care of ourselves wherever you are, and when the evacuation notice comes. Yeah? And I know the government is reluctant to really order people to evacuate because it is such a personal, sensitive, difficult decision for people to make. But there are some areas we know where life, the threat to life and limb is going to be greatest. Port Royal, the people of Port Royal. Yes, they must make up their minds now. It's not a matter of if now, but when.
And it's important to recognize that, as the Prime Minister said, the priority must be the protection and preservation of life. Yes? When you have that choice between, and I understand, as you just said, Cliff, that people may be reluctant to leave behind, their homes and their belongings, but the priority has to be the preservation of life. I've sent Dana the latest satellite image of the system. There it is. As you can see now, it's pretty much right under the island of Hispaniola and still on its track, making its way towards Jamaica.
Yeah. So the Dominican Republic and Haiti are now feeling the onslaught from Beryl, and in 5 hours, as it continues its west-northwestward move, yes, it is coming towards Jamaica. It's on a collision course with Jamaica. There's no way now we can escape this, yes. Systems that tend to move away from Jamaica would have done so already, yes. It would have either gone much further to the north or further to the southwest. It is doing none of that. The moment it passed the Windward Islands and entered the Caribbean Sea, it has taken aim at Jamaica. And I must tell you, this is a path that Gilbert took in 1980.
I actually was looking at the satellite images from that year, and it does seem to be trekking along the same path.
Right. So it could be a situation where when it gets here, it could be a category 3.
Yes.
I hope it's reduced even lower than that.
Mm-hmm. But importantly, Rowan Brown saying to us that the gusts may cause us to still experience category 4 force winds, even if at the point, hopefully, it's at 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's 11 minutes after 7 o'clock. You've heard from your Prime Minister. The state agencies have all been mobilized now. We will now have to sit tight and ride out Beryl.
The focus is preservation of life. I need to repeat that because Mr. Holness stressed it, and it's important. Preservation of life. That's the focus. That's the priority.
Yes. Time for the break.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is...
It's 12 minutes after 7.
Presenting another finalist in the 2024 Jamaica Festival Song Competition.
Blessed love Jamaica, my name is Reggae Max, and the title of my song is Better Jamaica.
I saw them flags if you love Jamaica. Shout it out, say you love Jamaica. Bust and dance when you're in Jamaica. Land of roots and culture. It will Jamaica just nice, my friend. On every corner there's
Jamaica
a
Festival
good vibe.
2024.
Hi, yes, you may attack. Before, during, and after hurricane, one of the most important things is to keep in touch with your family, your friends, but also with GPS. Use the My GPS mobile app to send us updates and reports. And ensure we have your current cell phone number and email address so we can keep in touch with you. GPS, powering what matters.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Nationwide 90 FM. Tracking Beryl.
13 minutes after 7, and we're now going to be joined by the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda in the Eastern Caribbean, in the Leeward Islands, Prime Minister Gaston Brown. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening to your audience.
And Prime Minister Brown, what can you tell us about the impacts of what was Beryl in the Eastern Caribbean islands, especially the Windward Islands of St. Vincent, Grenada, and St. Lucia? What's the situation there, do you know? I'm sure you've been in touch with your colleague prime ministers.
The impact on St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada was actually devastating. My understanding is that Carriacou in Grenada and certainly Union Island in St. Vincent certainly would have suffered enormous damages. I'm told that the damages are in the region of hundreds of millions of dollars. It means, therefore, that the recovery efforts will be a very daunting one based on the amount of resources, financial resources, that will have to be mobilized in order to rebuild, those two countries. And that is one of the challenges that we are faced with in the region, in which we have to borrow repeatedly to repair damaged infrastructure from these climate events.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently, climate remains a very significant existential threat to all of us here in the Caribbean region. And that is why we continue to fight in the international fora to have these large polluters reduce their emissions so that, we'll not be faced with these frequent and ferocious storms that have been literally decimating lives and livelihoods within the Caribbean.
And Prime Minister Brown, I remember very clearly, it was in 2017, Hurricane Irma. And the message from Antigua and Barbuda at that time was, tell the world that Barbuda has been devastated. You've had first-hand experience with a dangerous system. At the time, I believe it sat on Barbuda for quite some time at Category 5 strength. I want you to talk to the Jamaican people about the impact of such a system as you've witnessed it in Antigua.
Well, my understanding is that Beryl is on a path to make landfall in Jamaica. And I just want to take this opportunity to let the Jamaican people know that we are holding in our prayers, and we pray for God's mercies and protection, hoping that the storm will reduce in strength, and that if there's any impact, that will be limited, that there will be no loss of lives, and that there will be no significant damage to your country. But as you indicated, our sister island Barbuda was actually decimated by Hurricane Irma back in 2017. And 95% of the properties on Barbuda were actually damaged, many of them totally demolished. It was perhaps at the time the most significant, the most ferocious storm to have come across the Atlantic, and it certainly would have destroyed anything in its path. Unfortunately, Barbuda was in its path, and as a consequence of the damages that were done on Barbuda, we had to evacuate all of the residents on Barbuda because the island was actually deemed to be uninhabitable at the time. And, the recovery cost was enormous. In fact, we were able to mobilize a pledging conference at that time along with other countries within the Caribbean, because what had happened subsequently, you had Hurricane Maria that decimated Dominica and other countries in the northeastern Caribbean. So the extent of the damage at the time were in the billions of dollars, which were clearly beyond our means. So we were able to mobilize some resources to recover from the international community by virtue of that UN pledging conference that we actually held back in 2017. But I'll say here that we only had one fatality, and I believe the reason why there was only a single fatality is because there was a high level of preparedness. And I just want to say to the Jamaican people that these storms should not be taken for granted. I mean, when you deal with a Category 4, Category 5 storm, even a Category 3 for that matter, these storms can do significant damage to infrastructure, to properties, to lives. And the best way to mitigate is to make sure that you're properly prepared. And I'm quite sure that Prime Minister Holness and others would have already provided the details as to how you prepare for these storms. But I know sometimes that our Caribbean people take these storms for granted, and as a consequence, would have suffered significant consequences, including loss of life. So you want to make sure that the impact is limited, and the best way is through preparedness. And I certainly want to join all others who would have made a clarion call for a high level of preparedness to ensure that there is minimal damage, if any, by the storm should it make landfall on Jamaica. And back in 2017, if we had not literally traveled to Barbuda, in fact, there's several ministers, including myself, who would have traveled to Barbuda prior to the storm making landfall and literally mobilized the population to take the storm seriously, because at the time, many on Barbuda were not taken seriously. If we had not made those interventions, I guarantee you that there would have been a significant amount of fatalities on the island.
Has Barbuda recovered 7 years later?
Well, and as much as these storms represent significant challenges for us, I continue to encourage all Caribbeans to soldier on with what I consider to be confident optimism, recognizing that we're very resilient people, and notwithstanding whatever damages we may sustain, whatever impact, I believe that ultimately that we'll be able to build back better and that there will be a brighter future for our people. What has happened in the case of Barbuda is that we've been successful in building back better, to the extent that Barbuda is significantly better than prior to the devastation in 2017. In fact, Barbuda has now emerged as, I'd say, an island destination that is sustainable and that one that has attracted a significant amount of investments. In fact, it is literally now a luxury island destination in which we have attracted several high-end hotel properties. One such property is a franchise out of the U.S., Discovery Land. And within the last 3 years, they've actually dumped about $800 million in an accommodation property there, an investment hospitality property. There's several other such resorts that are under construction, including Robert De Niro Nobu Hotel. So, again, we always have to remain optimistic and to continue to soldier on, notwithstanding the challenges associated with these climate events, and to provide that type of hope and optimism for people, to reassure them that no matter how lot, that we are such a resilient people that we're able to bounce forward and certainly to build back better. But at the same time, we'd rather not having to deal with those consequences arising from these storms.
Prime Minister, you've been one of the loudest voices on the international stage calling for climate justice. Are you hopeful that the more developed countries will at any time start to pull their weight in terms of offering support for us who are on the front lines of this crisis?
Well, it's happening. Not certainly with the frequency and intensity in which we would like. I mean, one of the issues that we've been promoting and advocating is the establishment of a loss and damage fund. We've made some progress, and we're hoping that at the next COP in Azerbaijan in November of this year, that will get them to capitalize and operationalize this fund. Because countries here in the Caribbean, for sure, and all small island states globally, would want to be in a position that whenever we have these devastating impacts from these storms, that there be a fund that we can call upon to get resources. I mean, generally speaking, when you have to organize a pledging conference, it takes weeks and months, sometimes years, even to get these pledges materialized. So we believe that the Loss and Damage Fund is a form of climate justice that is required to compensate small island states and to help them with immediate funding in the aftermath of these disasters. At the end of the day, we did not contribute towards, certainly in no significant way, towards climate change. There's the large polluters who have been literally burning fossil fuels, producing fossil fuels. They're the ones who have made their trillions of dollars in profits, and we are in the front lines literally suffering disproportionately. And it's only fair that they provide some level of compensation. Now, you may recognize that Antigua and Barbuda has not relied exclusively on their voluntary acts of charity. One of the things that we did within the last couple of years was to seek and advise the opinion from ITLAS, that is the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, in which we have sought to get an opinion to confirm that these large polluters are actually polluting our seas. And you'd recall that back in May, we got a favorable opinion. So armed with that opinion, I now think that we're in a better position to hold these large polluters accountable and to make an even stronger case for compensation. And the principle here, the polluter must pay. So where you have these large polluting countries polluting our marine and terrestrial spaces, resulting in global warming and all of these devastating consequences of climate change, they're literally committing a tort against us. And that basis, they have an obligation to pay. So whenever we ask for climate funding, they should not see small island states, including Caribbean states, coming to them cap in hand begging. We are literally demanding that they provide the necessary compensation to help us to adapt and to mitigate, and certainly to assist with loss and damage wherever our countries have suffered from these climate events.
Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, thank you so much for spending some time with
us. And again,
this
all
evening.
the best to the Jamaican people. Wishing you God's protection and guidance.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prime Minister Brown.
Blessings.
Good. This is Nationwide at 5. We're going to take your calls now after the break. The numbers 876-630-937124 or 618-8255.
Me know me did a clown you about getting hurricane ready and everything. But yesterday my member said the last hurricane we come, we did have a whole heap of problem because we never prepare or listen to your safety advice.
It's a shame, sir, so you have to learn your lesson. But 3 things you can do this time is 1, have a licensed electrician, check the wiring to ensure them fine. 2, trim trees near power lines and remove danger trees that could fall on lines. But call JPS if your trees are already touching the power lines, okay? And 3, make sure that everybody know where the circuit breaker is in case you don't need to turn off the power.
Alright. Me go try do them here this time. And me will stay inside if one come. Me remember say one zinc flyer almost chopped me last hurricane.
Yes, and turn off and plug out all electronics and appliances, especially if there is lightning.
Me go deal with it, man.
JPS. Powering what matters.
Some men claim they're in love and loyal. They would drive from Negril to see a woman in Port Royal, not to get love and affection, but to face another night of rejection.
But she still come get in a
You know, that night we have to say, you thought just because you drove all this way, I'd give you hugs and kisses. We only been together 8 months. Some men sell their soul to get a bottle of the honey and spend the very last of their money, even when they know the love of their life as another man. What makes a man join us circles to play these tricks? This Tuesday's topic, if she can play you left, right, up and down, why not accept your
Affairs of the Heart is brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're tracking Beryl, and we're inviting you to ensure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nationwide 90 FM Live. That's one of the platforms where you can keep up to date with all the latest news and information relating to this hurricane that's approaching Jamaica. We'll be on air taking you through it. Yes, Nationwide 90 FM.
We should tell you that in the Prime Minister's address to the nation, he announced that the entire Jamaica, the entire island of Jamaica, has been declared a disaster area in accordance with Section 26 of the Disaster Risk Management Act. Yes, that's from the Prime Minister's address to the nation earlier. Also, an island-wide curfew, from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. tomorrow. Yes. So, again, more moves by the Holness administration in anticipation of Beryl tomorrow.
Papa Nana, good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are all of you?
We're doing all right. How are you?
Well, me I try my best, master. I do some breeder work here, have your help out with something to lift up some feed and come in see if we can put them at a safe place and thing,
Mm-hmm.
Because hardly nobody know want to work nowadays, master, so I have to try my best, you know what I mean? Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but how are you people prepared?
Mm-hmm. Well, we are as prepared as we can be.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, what I just called to say, we are a praying type of person, and if by this time name Beryl come, that means that somebody not praying,
Mm-hmm.
Because we are a praying type of person, and I know that we are not righteous more than anybody else.
Yes.
But I have a feeling that we will spare,
Mm-hmm.
we'll spare.
Yes.
We'll spare of it.
Yes, certainly.
I just
let me
because I tell you and it's true, we can't take another storm in another country right now, master, because we have storm here already. We can't take another disaster.
And let me just tell our listeners, there's been a rumor being spread, on certain applications about the light and power company disconnecting the electricity this evening, tonight at 11. That is not true. JPS has issued the following on its app saying, rumors them spreading, no plans to disconnect electricity tonight. Contrary to rumors being spread by irresponsible persons, JPS has no plans to turn off electricity tonight. However, some areas may experience power outages as hurricane conditions begin to affect the island. Depending on the impact of Hurricane Beryl, the network may gradually transition to full shutdown to protect itself. But please do not believe what you are seeing in some parts of the ecosystem that is out there about JPS shutting off the grill at 11 tonight. That's not true. That's not true. Yes? But as soon as we begin to have more of the impact of Beryl, yes, and depending on where you are, the national grid is such that it will begin to shut down certain areas to protect itself. Yeah. So during the full blast of Beryl, we expect that the entire system will shut down. Yes.
So Mr. Hughes, when it is expected to make landfall?
It is the eye. That is the eye you're talking, right?
Yes.
The eye, based on the current trajectory, should be sometime
about midday to 1 o'clock.
Midday, 1 o'clock?
Thereabouts.
Or a little later.
Midday to 1 o'clock?
Thereabouts,
Yes.
based on the current movements.
Yes.
Jesus. So, I hope we got man, then we know what to do with him.
Have a good evening, Papa Nana. Take care of yourself.
All right, Papa Nana. Be safe.
All right, take care.
All right.
And it's so important, Cliff, to just remind the listeners that when you see information on social media at this time, in this kind of environment, make sure that you verify what you're seeing, because people sometimes post information that's outdated or just plain false. Yes, so make sure that you verify through the official channels. You heard from the Prime Minister. Check the official channels. Yes, check the GIS. Check your Nationwide, of course, will be here. Call us. We'll tell you as we have the information. Don't just run with it, and especially information that's false, that's being spread. 630-9371 to 461-88255. Terry? Good evening, Terry.
Good evening.
Yes, Terry.
Yeah, man. Good evening to you both, man. Just want to say a pleasant afternoon. And tell Mr. You say, don't sound so sad, you know? Country go all right, man.
I'm worried, Terry.
Yeah, me no want to see and I need no more deaths, you know, brother. I don't want you going to need that here, brother. You see it?
All right, sir.
First time I talk to you, Mr. Hughes, I want to tell you, say, you know, it's a good job when I do. You know what I say?
We lost Terry.
They lock it on Terry.
Sorry about that, Terry.
And we have been able to get Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have been trying to get him to find out what's happening with St. Vincent after Beryl. Good evening, Prime Minister.
Good evening, Prime Minister.
Good evening. How is Hughes the Great?
I'm good, Sir Ralph. Well,
who's with you?
Ricardo Brooks.
Ricardo.
Yes.
Hello, Prime Minister.
God bless you, my brethren.
How are things? How did the people of St. Vincent fare after Beryl, Prime Minister?
Well, there are some islands in the chain. It's devastation, and in the rest of the country, severe damage. As you know, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines is an archipelago of 32 islands, 9 of which are inhabited. And the southernmost islands, the eye of the hurricane passed over them. Union Island, which is the largest of the group, and then Myro, Canawan, and 2 small resort islands, Petit St. Vincent and Palm Island. And just a little south of us is Carriacou. It's quite near to Union Island. The eye also passed over Carriacou. So Carriacou and Union Island were completely devastated, so to Myro. The Petit St. Vincent and Palm Island too. I went to Union Island today. It's Beryl's Armageddon. 90% of the houses, the roofs are blown away. Destruction is all around you. And the faces of men and women are strained and anxious. It's going to be a Herculean effort at rebuilding, but we will rebuild there. Then the similar situation in Myro, substantial damage, tremendous damage in Canawan. About as you come further north, Beckway. We haven't done the assessment yet, but anecdotal evidence suggests in the region of 20% of the houses were severely damaged or destroyed. And then in St. Vincent, the main island, the largest of the chain, there is substantial damage to housing. There'll be hundreds of houses with their roofs off, and we have to rebuild those. And then, as of count this morning early, there were 13 educational institutions, schools and technical institutes. The police had to leave 3 police stations because they were heavily compromised because of the hurricane. Some of the government facilities, some church buildings. And of course, we don't have electricity. Most of the country don't have electricity. And large sections, more than half are without water at the moment. It's bad. But Union Island and Myro, and the small islands around there. It's just awful. Just absolutely terrible.
What now of the recovery effort? How are you in terms of resources and assistance?
And do you have a preliminary estimate of the cost?
It's too early for that preliminary estimate. Too early for that. But it's going to run into hundreds of millions of dollars. It's just terrible. And but we are a resilient people, Cliff, and we have a terrible setback, and we'll turn it into an advance.
Mm-hmm.
From our own efforts, the efforts of our friends in the region and our allies elsewhere. And we'll do it at a pace, as the evangelicals say, day by day, sweet Jesus. There's a sense of solidarity among our people, and we are determined to build it back. I just want to say, though, as Beryl approaches Jamaica, I want to use this opportunity to say to my Jamaican brothers and sisters, do not take a Category 4, Category 5 hurricane for joke. This thing can set you back in your individual lives, in your communities, as a country, significantly. You have to listen to the authorities. You have to take precautions. You have to protect your life and your limbs and your property to the extent that you can, even at this late stage. But don't take chances and think it's a joke. I know you have the experience of Gilbert, but a number of persons have forgotten that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there are some people who say, no matter the government, man, the God is a Jamaican, the thing now come.
Mm-hmm.
You know, please listen to the authorities. While we are talking, you know, my brother Cliff, about my situation.
Yes.
We get the hit already. I want to save lives and limbs in Jamaica. So you're my brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm. Prime Minister Gonzalez, in terms of the immediate assistance, in terms of restoring the power and the water, where are you getting the help from?
Well, we are a fairly organized society, and though we will get some technical help from CARILEC, the regional body in relation to electricity, I think that all of the city and all of the city of Kingstown and the immediate environs should have electricity later today, later this evening, tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's good.
By the end of the week, I expect that we will have electricity in about 50% of the country. And in another 2 weeks, we should have 100% with electricity. With water, we were doing pretty okay until a problem came at the intake system of one of the reservoirs, which provides 40% of the water supply. So that has affected us, but we are effecting the repairs, and I will expect in another 24 hours, 48 hours, we should have back water, save and except for pockets here and there, for this or that localized reason. The pipes burst, intake is muddy, you know, that kind of a thing now.
Is Argyle International reopened?
We are reopening at midday tomorrow. We did some protective work, and the terminal building is fine. Little things here and there, not much. There was some damage at the northern end of the fence, and we are currently repairing that. Everything should be fine by midday tomorrow for commercial flights. But of course, emergency flights can come in and go. Nothing has happened to the tarmac.
Okay.
And the ancillary facilities. We are building a brand new port in Kingstown, a port for the 21st century. We some of the work which we have done, because the port should be finishing by May next year. We may have a little setback there. Maybe, I don't know. We haven't quite done all the assessments there because, there'll be little challenges here and there. But we have over 2,000 persons who went into shelters. Some have gone home now, and others have been staying with friends and families. But the real huge challenge has to do with islands like Union Island. Everybody is homeless basically.
So are you going to what's the plan for them? Are you going to move them to the mainland for temporary?
Well, we moved some today. Others would be moved tomorrow. But there are people who want to stay, and we have to clean up and we have to rebuild. Look, the Union Island has about 2,500 people, and if you put 5 persons to each household on an average, you see the number of houses are there. The airport is gone. The terminal building, problems with the parts of the runway. The hospital is gone. School, it's bad. It's, as I said, it's Beryl's Armageddon in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And she did that. She did that damage in about an hour or so, and moved on, and left us whole in the bag.
Yeah,
that's what you call vulnerability. And we are taking down food and water and supplies. I have to confirm there were 3 persons who were injured, and I was told that by the people when I went to Union today, that the 3 of them died, but I have to have that confirmed.
Wow.
So I don't want to. But we had 3 serious cases of injuries.
And this would be 3 in addition to the 3 who are reported dead in Grenada, or 2?
Well, I'm not so sure what is the number in Grenada, but what happened in Carriacou, which is near to Union Island. Union Island and Carriacou really is one country, It's just a slip of water separate them, with the British government doing the division. I don't know if many people know this. A little piece of Carriacou, the tip of Carriacou, belongs to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's where the colonialists drew the line of longitude. All what is there is our flag. It's just a little piece.
Yes.
But the people interact all the time. Migration rules between them are non-existent, really.
What was it like on Mustique?
Mustique, I got a report on Mustique. Mustique, a couple of the rich folks had some minor damage. There's some in the village, but we will work with the Mustique company and address any of what is there.
Yeah.
And Mustique has good infrastructure also. But I tell you, have you ever been through a hurricane, Cliff? With you're in your study, as I was, and the winds are just howling, and you're not sure whether the battery in the building is getting, whether the winds are going to come in and the roof is going to be lifted off.
Yes, I went through that in Gilbert.
Well, you understand. A number of the younger folks who will probably want to dance in the rain. They better take this thing seriously.
That's what I've been trying to convey internally and externally. Yeah, that I don't think many of us appreciate what a Category 4 hurricane is likely to do to us come tomorrow.
And I want to say this. When Beryl is moving, he's not interested in JLP, PNP, or no P.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm talking here like a patriarch, my brother.
Yes.
I'm giving advice.
Yeah.
Well, I hope if I manage to save one person by my comments tonight, I thank Sonia and you for helping in that regard.
Right.
And my brother Ricardo, of course.
Yes. Well, Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, thanks much for sharing that.
And my prayers are with you and the people of Jamaica.
Yes. It's going to be a rough 12 to 18 hours.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. And I gather there are about 2 other systems in the Atlantic shaping up?
Well, there's a system which is over the weekend. It looks as though a system coming after Beryl looked as though it had a 70% chance of forming into something. As of this morning, the meteorologist told me that that number had gone to below 40% chance.
Good.
So it looked as though it may dissipate, and thank God.
Yes.
Because can't take another one.
No.
The thing, I want to make one point of a fiscal nature before I go. Now, I as I said earlier, we have a pretty good system of national emergency disaster management. Not perfect, but pretty okay. And it has been fine-tuned, and we had a lot of experiences in 2021 with the volcanic eruptions followed by Hurricane Elsa, one after the other. So before then, we had set up a contingency fund. You know, in all our constitutions, we have this provision for a contingency fund. But we don't really set it up. By set up this contingency fund and increase the value-added tax by 1 percentage point. And by law, that 1 percentage point goes into the contingency fund. So I took from in that fund, depleted it for COVID, depleted it for the volcanic eruptions and Hurricane Elsa. And now in the month of July, early July, it is going to be depleted. And the problem which I'm facing is that when I deplete it, suppose next week I get another blow.
Yeah.
So that even when we try to be prudent on the one hand and enterprising on the other, of course, because we have to grow the economy and we have to have prudence, but it has to be accompanied by the lady known as enterprise. The real world can simply shatter that prudence because I wouldn't have any more money in the contingency fund.
Yes. Have you had a word with the Jamaican Prime Minister since Beryl over the last two? Have you had a word with Prime Minister Holness since?
No, but we were at a CARICOM heads of government meeting this morning. He made his comment, but he had to leave because he had to do preparation. So he left our sister Camina to hold the fort.
Yes.
But it's a good meeting this morning. CARICOM was at its best.
Good.
Providing solidarity to one another.
Right. So,
I want to indicate that the Secretary General of the United Nations, who is my personal friend, Antonio Guterres, he was in Central Asia, and I got a call from him, expressing solidarity and requesting what he can do, what the UN can do. Of course, the UN system has been activated, World Food Program, UNICEF, UNOPS, the whole range.
But he's also making a special appeal for Grenada and St. Vincent and Grenadines. And I suggested to him that Grenada and St. Vincent and Grenadines do a joint pledging conference. If other countries get hit by Beryl, we'll probably we'll include them.
Yes.
But Guterres is a man of real high moral stature and a man of great foresight and a friend of the small island developing states, a friend of vulnerable countries, a man of peace and justice.
Thank you very much, Prime
including
Minister.
Climate justice.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. We've got to leave it there, but all the best and thanks for sharing.
Yes, my brethren, and take care.
Good. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And you notice a constant theme running through what he said and what Prime Minister Brown said and what our Prime Minister and our Finance Minister has said here, resilience. That we have to ensure that we build up the reserves such that when the shocks come, we can stand up to it.
Yeah.
Because it will come.
Yeah.
It will come.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you heard his warning for all of you who still have lingering doubts about what we're about to be hit with. Yeah. He said Category 4 hurricane is no joke. No joke. Yeah? That's how we're going to leave it this evening, you know. You want to say thanks to all of our callers, our contributors, to the members of the news and production team. Yes? We have a long day ahead, a long week ahead of us. Yes? This is where we're going to separate the men from the boys and the girls from the women. Yeah? This is a real test now. Yes?
You see, if I was unkind, Bugs, I would say something, but I'm not unkind. I'm charitable.
All right.
I'm charitable. Listeners, we will be with you starting at 6 tomorrow morning until.
Yeah.
Until.
Thanks to our producer. Yeah, she's going to have her first taste of a really big hurricane.
A baptism of water and wind.
Dana Davey, thank you so much. Our technical operator, Andrew Anderson. And may God be with all of us. Yes? Take care of yourselves. Good night.
Be safe. Good night.
Hi. Yes, you me attack.